Trump was president for life.
Yeah, there's that too.
That's going to be a sticky wicket down the road.
We were talking about suicide a minute ago, and of course, as on-air personality, as much as you can call yourself that, doing a podcast, it would be very irresponsible of me to advocate suicide. But if Donald Trump were to die in office, then technically he was president for life.
That is true.
So, Mr. Trump, maybe talk to your friends in the NRA. I'm sure they could make a few good recommendations of the best tool for the job.
Yeah. It's not an AR-15, surprisingly, because, just the length.
The reach, yeah. Well, and his tiny little hands.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, he's going to need to get like a little Derringer.
Like a little Saturday Night Special.
As long as we're talking about revenge fantasies, something I wanted to bring up is Gina Haslip, the current deputy director of the CIA, who ran a black site in Thailand.
The Dark Queen.
Now, there was some false information about her. Is that in the true category?
Some of the false information that's being circulated is that she videotaped the torture of, I think it was Abu Zaid, when actually I believe she supervised and engaged in the torture. And they waterboarded him over 80 times.
Yeah.
And once they got the clearance from Bush's corrupt Department of Justice saying that waterboarding was legal and not torture, they did it. Yeah. But allegedly before they said that all records must be kept for the investigation, I believe she was complicit in destroying the videotapes and evidence of the torture.
Okay. Well, Rand Paul wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, which, broken clock twice a day. Every once in a in
he did not want her
Rand
in.
Paul
is,
even he is afraid of her.
But one of the things that I've been thinking, because you've got Sessions and you got a lot of these whack job teabag conservatives that got in on a Republican ticket over the last 8 years who support torture. Who think John McCain is batshit crazy, and
they want him out too. Yeah. They want him out.
Someone, and God, if anyone, please email me if you know the comedian who wrote this. But some woman said it in an article a few years ago that Bill Cosby can do rape jokes because he's been there. And I think in the same way, John McCain, if anyone knows whether or not torture works. John McCain, I was just talking, we all got these iPhones and computers in our pockets. John McCain is the computer in the pocket of Congress. When it comes, you got a question about torture, ask John McCain,
Well, you can't for much longer, so get him while you can.
But for all these people who are serving in Congress that believe waterboarding is an acceptable interrogation technique, I would love to see one of the senators during her hearing to see if she is able to be chosen as the new director of the CIA. I think one of the Democrats on the panel should ask her to demonstrate waterboarding on every Republican in Congress who supports waterboarding. Yeah. If it's not torture, sit down, get in the chair, put the towel over your face. Let's give it a run.
Right.
Let's see how you vote once you've experienced it. And also, as a deficit reducing measure, it should be done on C-SPAN pay-per-view.
That's a new one, C-SPAN pay-per-view.
No
one has ever paid to watch C-SPAN.
Yeah.
But, hey, if they were waterboarding half of the Republicans in
when
Congress,
the Trump indictment hearings come, everybody going to be paying for C-SPAN then.
Yeah. It's like, how much is it?
A
lot of people, I'll just catch it on YouTube later.
Whatever it costs. Yeah. I want to watch that.
Who's the famous atheist that died of a brain tumor?
Hitchens?
Yeah, Hitchens. I always think of him when I think about waterboarding because he had said, it's not a big deal. And then he was willing to be waterboarded. And he had these he had these two metal things in his hand that he would drop when he was basically asking no more. And he dropped it very, very fast, and he changed his tune. And I think every single one of these people should be willing to be waterboarded just to see if it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And just for added measure, let's put some bamboo shoots under their fingernails.
Why not?
Again, we can go to John McCain. What's the worst thing that happened? Tiger cages and waterboarding for the Republicans in Congress.
Yes.
Just as a fact-finding mission. I think it's only fair.
Oh my God, I've never heard them called that. Jesus.
Yeah, isn't that what they?
I think so.
All right, this is so dark.
All right. What's next on our topics?
Give us a new topic. I hate this
Don't
topic.
know why there's no sun up in the sky. Stormy Daniels.
Oh yes! Yay! Stormy Daniels.
Do you think I was just doing a musical interview?
I did.
Yeah, you would have come to expect that from me.
Stormy Daniels is she's hot.
She's a patriot. I don't know. Everybody got their something. I'm hoping, because I know she started a Kickstarter this week for her legal defense fund, and that was before. I don't think this is even coming from the Department of Justice. I think it's Michael Cohen from Trump's personal lawyer, who they're suing her for $20 million for violating the non-disclosure agreement, which Trump never signed. But she's doing a legal defense fund, and I'm sorry, I see pictures of her. No, a lot of people are, which is great. But I think if there's any money left over, like get her breast reduction surgery. That just looks uncomfortable.
Well, that's how she made her money. That's how she got Trump.
She's still making money on the road.
I think she's a fucking smart cookie.
Oh,
and I
absolutely.
think she's lawyered up supremely well. I think her attorney is
They're playing the game wonderfully.
And you know what? If she wants to go around with her big titties and do that, God fucking bless her.
I know. It's one of those things like, it's the Jewish mother in me coming out like, I'm cold, put on a sweater.
Your back, it's got to be hurting you.
I just look at her and it's like,
no, but the thing with Trump is he can really only trust family, but he only trusts criminals who kiss up to him, and so he can't hire quality people because he doesn't have the ability to appreciate.
And there are no quality people anywhere near him.
But I think I think one of the factors, you look at who his mentor was when he was coming up, and his attorney was Roy Cohn.
Yeah. Sleazy, disgusting.
It's like if you learn law from, the corrupt, malicious piece of crap that Roy Cohn was, that's going to be your impression of the law, and that's
not that Trump learned law from him.
No. But he learned how the law can be manipulated for profit.
That was
his
his buddy.
Deflection and reversals and horseshit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No. I was going to say that was his buddy. They were part of the plan. They knew about. Redlining in neighborhoods and everything, keeping several things where they showed them how to beat the system. The lawyers, as they, I don't know if you saw 60 Minutes when they were talking about money laundering, and they said money laundering, the United States is the easiest place in the world to launder money.
Well, then how come Manafort was doing it in Ukraine?
Well, he's an idiot. He should have just came here and the lawyers said, we write the laws, we run the country.
Yeah.
And the guy, he didn't know he was being videotaped, but they told him. He said, we know everything, and we can get it done if you want to do something, if the money is right. So, yeah. To learn from Roy Cohen.
Well, and I think that's why a lot of these, finger quotes, law and order Republicans are so opposed to the dark web and all these other places. It's like they're getting the money that we should be getting from our illegal operations.
Right. Yeah.
It's a total mob mentality.
Right. I mean, and the distractions, that's why they want Americans to be consumers. That's why they want you to pay attention to your cell phones all day.
Tymon, before the show, you brought up a story that you found on Facebook about a guy. Did you find out where this happened? The jars. It was in Tennessee. A guy was arrested for selling jars of farts without a license. And it's like, really, licensing is the issue that we're gonna take up here. But it's like getting Capone on income tax. Right. It's
how do you get him?
You're messing with our money.
So are you imagining a meeting where they're like, we got this guy down on 3rd. He's selling farts. How do we bust him?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's been a lot of farts sold in this administration.
Well,
and just, to get back to what we were saying before, I had this sort of aha moment this week or earlier in the week when...
Not that aha moment.
No, not that aha moment. when, this whole Eric Prince meeting in the Seychelles Islands and, all of this stuff, oligarchs all getting together and,
They saw
Rex
secrets in the
Tillerson
Seychelles.
being Putin's hire. And here comes, and all of this conversation, we talk about nationalism versus globalism, right? And we on the left are the supposed globalists, while the right are the nationalists, and they're, country first. But in fact, I think what we're looking at is a globalist takeover of oligarchs. I think it's rich guys trying to maneuver into position to run the fucking whole world out of their little 1% niche.
So you're talking about Eric Prince, who ran Blackwater, changed the name, and then decides, well, the clearest, best place to have its offices is in the United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
Because he's a nationalist.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I want to meet with some people from the United Arab Emirates. Let's go to the Seychelles.
Yes, do that.
And have a meeting there. And you're right. And yet the people who believe in America first believe that makes sense.
These are their people, and that makes sense.
And
that it makes sense that they should be. The Trump and his kids are setting up back channels of communication with
the Kremlin.
Putin, with the Kremlin,
and they've been.
Okay, sorry.
That's why they've been conned.
Fritz.
That's why they've been conned, and that's why Trump said, I could shoot someone.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone.
Because, as you just said, this is about
Chaos.
the rich and all that they're putting together. You little minions, we don't care about you.
They don't give a shit. And I think they fucking laughing their asses off like Republican and Democrat and whatever, and here comes the blue wave, I think they're like, fuck all y'all. We've already got it set up that we can just do whatever we want, and the next election is going to be moot.
Wasn't it Thomas Jefferson? Didn't Thomas Jefferson say, do not, he was always afraid of bankers. He was always afraid that do not let the bankers get in charge of anything because of the control that they would have. They would control the money and how things were done. You had
not to interrupt you, but as the resident Jew, all this talk about globalists and bankers, we are actually talking about globalists and bankers. We are not like, because
I'm not talking about Jews at all.
No, I know.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm talking the anti-Jew.
That's what I'm saying. Is I am sitting here for anyone who's like, wait, when they say globalists and bankers,
I'm sorry.
No.
For the record, Tymon did not look at me and wink. He didn't wink and then kiss his head.
But I think that's one of the problems, and certainly not siding with these idiots who say, political correctness has gone rampant. But because we are living in a world of microaggressions and dog whistle politics and everything, it does, you do because Erika, I've known you for a few years now. I know when you're talking about globalists, you're not,
I don't
about to launch and what the Jews do. But with people who I don't know, it's, it's people have different ways of being racist these days, and you kind of have to. But it's like, as you were saying, Tymon, before I interrupted.
But I don't think that the
no, I don't think Jefferson.
From what Erika is saying, if I keep you distracted on, and because those who have the knowledge and everything, they're the ones who write the history. They're the ones to control. So they turned us into consumers.
Right.
They get you to focus on things. They don't really, like you said, Erika, they don't give a shit about us, about what's going on with us or whatever. Let me get you to focus on this while we're out here doing our thing.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time you figure out what we've done, it's too late. You're not going to be...
either we're going to have the constitutional crisis right the fuck now,
right,
and they are going to figure out how to turn it over and take this country in a completely new direction, or it will be... there is a perfect storm. When you look at, what's brewing with the millennials and, the argument, Me Too, the gun control, all of this stuff is happening at once. And what you're saying to consumerism, it's absolutely true. There's no way that we can support, the Earth can support a capitalist, can support capitalism and consumerism.
Right.
And if we are not consumers, then we turn our attention to civics and politics and other things, and that makes us dangerous.
Well, also, we have a social problem right here in our look at our homeless problem that we
Yeah.
have. Our homeless problem is